Yo, what is up, guys? Phoenix here, back with the Kerbal Space Program 2. And last episode, we got into orbit, and then we landed on the Mun, and blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. And I briefly mentioned the bugs and glitches, as the KSP community refers to it as the Kraken. And this is basically when the physics they decide not to work anymore. And that's pretty much what this whole episode ends up being. My goal for this episode was to just make a space station and throw it up into orbit, and that was it. That was the goal. So it didn't go well. Spoiler, did not go well at all. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and speed through the making of this, because this isn't even what we end up with, and I'm reliving my frustration and it just pain rewatching this with you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward through this. We don't need 10 minutes of me building this thing that doesn't work anyways, because the game decides that it didn't feel like it. Okay, so this is the first issue that I ran into. I was in the build screen, and then I just got teleported to this spaceship, which, if you know, this is the one that we did indeed land on the Mun last time, but for some reason it's no longer on the Mun. It wasn't in orbit, it was on a crashing trajectory, and I said I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to launch the space station, and then we'll get back to it. As you can see there, that was our first attempt. We didn't make it very far. We lost control right on the launch pad before we even launched the solid state boosters. And then our second launch, at least we got the solid state boosters launched before we exploded. So progress, baby steps, feeling hopeful here. Very wobbly boy on the third run here. Very wobbly boy. Tried to do a gravity turn and took too much gravity here. Was maybe thinking we can save this. We can go ahead and save this. We'll just do a cool little spin, and we'll reverse the orbit trajectory, and then nope, it just kept going, kept tumbling. There was no way to actually control this thing. And I understand that this was probably my fault with this design. I mean, you have a whole top half of the rocket just chilling up there, but you know, I added some wings, and we tried it like this. I thought that the winglets that would do the trick. I cannot get over the music and the sound design in this game, though. Absolutely beautiful. And I am fast forwarding, time warping right now, which is I shouldn't be doing this, because when you're in Atmo and you time warp, it affects the physics in ways that just don't make sense. The physics don't like it, but I'm getting irritated at this point, so I time warp just to try to get into low Atmo, and then hopefully start the gravity turn to get into orbit. So far, it's looking pretty decent. And I have about, and here we go. I'm kind of losing it right now. I'm smashing my A button to try and hold this thing, and we're not even in Atmo anymore. Really, we're in high Atmo, I believe. But I couldn't really control this thing, and I had about 15 reaction wheels in here, so I feel like there's no reason that this should have not worked. But that's kind of that's my life story while playing games. And then as soon as we removed the solid boosters, we ended up going in a tumble, which makes no sense at all, because it was even on all sides. The decoupling power wasn't even that strong. There's no reason. Then I noticed that if you time warp, it stops tumbling, but our winglets came back, so they were ready for the trip to come with us. This game. This game is a mess. Oh my god. I love it. I love it though. In all its frustration. And at this point I'm trying to like click on the winglet and I'm like, can I get rid of it maybe? And then oh, we got another winglet now, so that was cool. I figured, you know what? Let's just not even worry about it. We'll set up a maneuver point and then get into orbit. And I go ahead and do that. And I start my my maneuver, and as you can see, the space station is leaving without me. It's leaving me in space, and it's just off to do its own thing. The camera's oh my god. I tried reloading, I tried closing the game, reopening the game. Our winglets are back on this run, and then again, the space station doesn't want us around, so it's just gonna go ahead and leave us in space while it travels and does what it wants to do. We're chilling now. Kind of, I don't know if we're in orbit at this point at all, or if we're on a crashing trajectory, but it's just all of these runs. I tried this, man. It took probably what, 2 hours just to get this thing up, in orbit. And it's not a good orbit what we end up with, but we do get it up in orbit. And at this point, I can't do anything. Every time I'm clicking a button, the camera just goes straight back to that solar panel. So I'm revert to launch. Get back up. We are in a orbit trajectory at this point. We just need a maneuver point to go ahead and burn the rest of the way. Solid state booster's gone. I'm feeling decent about this time. And then I can't control it. Can't control anything about it. So go ahead and revert to VAB. I switched some things around, relaunched, and then we go on a tumble at the launch, and we explode. Now the good news is this is an unmanned rocket. I don't know. Does that affect it? Now that I'm saying it, it shouldn't affect it, right? There should be no difference to a Kerbal versus a manned rocket. In fact, I should have more control, I believe. And it just was not going. I just couldn't get it. It kept flipping. It kept tumbling. I almost cried at one point. I had to call my mom and go through the pain. I reverted to launch here. No vessel connection. No connection. Couldn't launch it. Don't know what's happening. Literally didn't change anything. I just reverted to launch. No vessel control. And at this point, I was getting quite upset. I was getting quite upset. All right, we get back into high atmo, and then as soon as we get there, the rocket just starts spinning, basically. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm just getting into orbit. Please, just go into orbit, and then I will fix it when I am more calm and more level-headed after this. And I don't know if this actually makes it into orbit. It gave me an extremely weird orbit line, obviously, because it just decided to turn 90 degrees. So we are not even in a, I can't even think the space terms of the orbits and everything right now, because I was, oh my gosh, reliving this. I was so frustrated. Now we're dealing with the wings coming back and forth, the winglets. They're like tethered to the spaceship, but not actually, and I was kind of afraid at this point that the winglets were going to come back and explode the rocket, because that's a Kerbal thing that would happen. But I go ahead and burn it again. It's taken off without us, without the camera. I was over it at this point, completely over it. Now the developers have released, I believe they've released a list of bug patches and all of that stuff that they're planning on doing. And from what I've heard, it is a good, decent sized patch, but I haven't checked it myself, so I'm not 100% sure. But everybody seems decently happy with the patch notes on it, so hopefully in due time we can we can get better with this, because I do love this game, and I hope they stick with it. Believe it or not, this is the launch that actually does make it. I think we're pointed the complete wrong way at this point, but we're just showing off for the cameras. Go ahead and get control of it finally somehow, and then start burning for orbit. Frame rate's actually not too bad though. You know, all things considered, I have seen other people struggling very hard with the frame rates, like getting like literally like 5 frames per second, which is absolutely amazing. But I haven't had much issues with the frame rate. I don't know if my computer is actually that much better. I didn't think that it was like a monster computer or anything, but it is. It handles this game pretty decently. All right, I'm right here. Solid state's out. I'm just checking everything, and I'm just waiting for something to break. I decouple. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. I don't know how. We do have the Mammoth get a little bit of a bump there, but that is what put us into orbit. So I was so mad. I cut it all out because it was just horrendous and just the most annoying thing that I've ever had to deal with. And we are in an orbit. It is not very good orbit, but we're in orbit, and I can take care of that at some other point down the road. It is a space station. I have docking ports and docking stations and lights and solar panels and all of that fun stuff. So I have fuel tanks in it as well, so it can store fuel and all of that. I then went ahead and checked on the Kerbals that magically started flying away from the MUN and was able to control them. We still had some fuel, so I go ahead and give them a nice second landing on the MUN just to make sure that they didn't float away into space. And they are safe and sound on the MUN once again. How they got pushed up in the first place, I don't know. It was landed. I am glad I put what was it, Chadson back into the rocket, because I feel like he would have been stranded on the MUN while the other two just kind of floated away. We did get a space station orbit, so I am happy with that. But yeah, that's a little bit of what we have to deal with the Kraken just not wanting us to play the game. And I know that the Kraken was an issue in the first game, physics-based bugs and all of this and that. But hopefully we can get onto a better track, and hopefully this first update does help. But anyways, I'm done complaining at this point. I do hope you enjoyed kind of the little showcase of the Kraken, in case that you don't actually play this game, but you're still interested in it. Because if you've played this game, you know, you already know. I can't tell you anything that you don't know at this point. But other than that, if you like the video, please like it. Do consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Peace.